We got some crazy stuff for you. I didn't know how I was going to do this. You know, my phone's kind of broken and stuff, and I'm sure you guys are sick and tired of watching my videos and only hearing it from one end, you know? And usually the videos are better because I get to edit everything, you know, and you guys get to really kind of get a good dynamic. But we're going to do it a little different. We got some crazy stuff for you. I didn't know how. Hold on one second. We got some crazy stuff for you. So here we go. Get back here to the intro, I guess I should say. Anywho, we're going to discuss a little bit of what's going on. This, you know, there's a lot of news that I post and a lot of information that I come across that a lot of people really don't really get to see. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put it all together for you. And then you can make up your own assumption of what you feel the truth is and what it's not. You know, I'm not saying that everything I say is a lie or is not, you know, the truth. I'm saying that sometimes opinions can be construed. What I have noticed is that we do have a double speak or a double meaning to everything that you hear and what's being conveyed to you. And so I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into it. Bear with me. Yeah, this is one thing that got me. And we're going to go ahead and just jump through back to here. So this is my news site that I have, Subliminal Sanity News. And my channel is Subliminal Sanity as well. You can find me on YouTube if you'd like. And here's my Facebook. Started off just wanting to basically wake everybody up to the truth of what I had found. And by the time I ended up finding out everything that was really going on, it just kind of boiled down to keeping up with current events. And so if you want to keep up with your current events and the news that you really should know, this will be a really good site for you. Pentagon rewrites law of war, declaring belligerent journalists as legitimate targets. So now anybody who's basically out there speaking the truth, well, you're targeted. You're a target now. Because they obviously want to control what we're viewing and allowed to see as authorized media. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and continue on with what I had discovered and try to keep on track here. What we have going on right now is a major economic crisis. If you have never heard of X22 report, I definitely highly suggest to subscribe to this channel. If you don't really want to subscribe to all this information and have your computer and your phone completely bombarded with all these links and everything and trying to keep up, and remember, I just highly suggest just subscribing to Subliminal Sanity News, and I'll be sure to try to keep you updated as possible. Weekends I like to have off. I do have a family. But anywho, I digress. I'm going to keep going into this. This morning, I listened to this. I listen to it every morning. And I want you guys to hear some of the stuff that Dave had announced because he pretty much hit it right on the head. Now, NATO troops is Europe and also helped and sponsored by the UN and all this other great stuff. So let's just keep an ear out of what Dave has to say because he covers the economy. And if you want to figure out what's really going on in the world, you gotta follow the money. That's one of the biggest secrets. All right, let's listen to what he has to say.
And today's date is June 24th, 2015, and the title of this episode is NATO now positioning troops into Iraq under the guise of a training mission. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. Tomorrow, Thursday, I will be uploading the interview with James Turk. So if you are on the x22report.com email alert system, you'll get an email. If you're subscribed to the X22 Report Spotlight channel, YouTube should email you the information. If not, just come right to...
I apologize, Dave. I'm just going to go ahead and try to fast forward it a little bit.
YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It'll bring you on the road to recovery.
Oh,
see.
Here we go. He started right in with the gold.
Inside. Let's get right into the economic collapse news. Now, we need to remember back when President Helm of France came out And this was during August of 2013, going into 2014. He was telling us that the French economy was on the road to recovery. The same with the EU. They were out there saying this summer of 2013 signals that the European Union is in full recovery. And if we look back in time, we can see, no, the European Union, the French economy, they are not recovering whatsoever. We see the French economy, it continues to deteriorate. And according to the latest French Labor Ministry data, the French job seekers rose by another 0.5%. And we see at this time that the French unemployment has now hit a record high. This is the 80th consecutive month of rising joblessness. So this shows us that whatever these government officials tell us, we like to call them government employees, it is always the opposite. And I think everyone's starting to catch on now. They just tell you these things to appease you, to make you feel better, that they're doing their job. But guess what? Their interest is not in the people. Their interest is to themselves and to the central bankers. And this is completely evident all across the world in all these private Western central bank countries, because we see all of these countries passing draconian laws that do not benefit the people, but actually work against the people. We see in Greece, the previous government did nothing to help the people in Greece. Actually, they did the opposite. They did whatever the central bankers wanted. They implemented austerity. They made the economy of the countries worse. And we see now that this new government is at least trying to make it better in their country. And we see Greece pushed a proposal to the central bankers. The central bankers looked at it and said, we're not going to accept this. They wrote a counter proposal. They sent it back to Greece. And Greece says, absolutely not. We're not going to accept this. So right now, we're in a situation where there is no deal. The only deal that was made was with the Greek government and the Russian government for the new pipeline. Now, the central bankers, they submitted a proposal to the Greek government. The Greek government looked at it and said, this is completely unacceptable. One of the officials said, and he used a Greek expression, to suggest that receiving it was like touching fire. And Tsipras is now thinking to himself, this doesn't make sense. He said, creditors not accepting parametric measures has never happened before, neither in Ireland nor in Portugal, nor anywhere. This strange stance can hide two scenarios. The central bankers don't want any type of agreement, or they are serving specific interests in Greece.
So listen closely.
So Tsipras knows what's going on here. He sees that there are specific interests in Greece that are being served by all of this. And again, we know that Goldman Sachs and a lot of other bankers were involved in creating this debt illegally, this odious debt. And right now, there is no deal whatsoever. We see that there was leaked NSA intercepts between Holland and others who were having a meeting behind Merkel's back because he feared of the Greek exit.
By the way, those articles are on Subliminal Sanity News, SSN.
He was fearing the potential impact of Greece eventually exiting the Eurozone on the French economy. So he held secret meetings with the German Social Democratic Party leaders behind Angela Merkel's back in 2012. And this is coming from the NSA intelligence reports released by WikiLeaks. Holland stressed that the meeting would be secret. The intelligence report dated May 22nd, 2012 says the agency comments suggested that Holland seemed worried that if word were to get out that Paris is seriously considering the possibility of a Greek exit, it would deepen the crisis. Holland complained that nothing of substance was achieved during his talks with Merkel, so he decided to invite the SPD chairman, Sigmar Gabriel, to Paris for talks because they are nervous of how this could have a ripple effect in all these different countries. And it would. If or when Greece decides to say, okay, enough is enough, we're going to default, we're not going to pay any of this back, we're going to slide over to the BRICS system, to Russia. Because when you look at this, if they decided to go with the European Union and stay with them and accept a deal, we know that the European Union and the central bankers are going to say, you know that deal with Putin? This cannot happen. You're going to have to agree to the other pipeline. And I don't see how this is going to play out at this time, except that Greece is buying time and getting ready to move with Russia and the BRICS. I mean, of course, this.
And listen, this is what everybody's talking about, a World War III with Russia. See, even though there's a plan to do with the new world order, there could be some cutthroat activity at any time. Anytime. Anybody could just backstab anybody and go the other way. Now, this isn't fear porn, okay? The reason why I'm bringing this to everybody's attention is so that, you know, the more that people know, the more that we can prevent these situations from going on. I mean, look at this. NATO now positioning troops into Iraq under the guise of a training mission. Okay, so this is, we're going to get into the details. I just want you to remember what the title of this is, and I want you to listen, because it actually gets even crazier. All right, listen. We might be able to stop some of this, the more awareness that we get out there. That's the reason why I'm doing this, all right? And I know I'm going to take up a lot of time, but at the same time, it's very crucial information, okay? If I had made my own little video, it'd be edited, it'd be 2 hours long, you'd sit down, pop some popcorn, and have a whirl. But this ain't about making a video anymore. And this ain't about shills anymore. This is about paying attention to what's going on and putting the pieces together, okay?
It'll change things.
So the economy's dropping, okay? We have the BRICS industry, which is Brazil, China, Russia, okay? We've got Indonesia, and we've got, what else was it? Yeah, the BRICS. Basically, that was it. And then you got the IMF, which is the International Monetary System. So these are basically two economic world structures that are at war with each other. Bankers' war. That's what we're fighting right now. That's what we're seeing right now is a bankers' war. Keeping up the dollar with the petrodollar and the oil, and the IMF and the centralized banking system that taxes everybody to death. And then the BRICS industry, which will be basically built off nothing but gold. The gold standard. Back to the gold.
Happen, but this is the way it looks right now. Here in the United States, well, they're continually trying to push that we're in a recovery, but we could be in a little bit of a slump, and this is double talk to say we are collapsing. Because we've seen this before, like I mentioned in yesterday's report.
Double talk basically saying that we are in the event of collapsing. Because listen, man, in politics, everything your president says, expect the opposite. Everything that they sell to you, expect the opposite.
Well, they're continually trying to push that we're in a recovery, but we could be in a little bit of a slump, and this is double talk to say we are collapsing. Because we've seen this before, like I mentioned in yesterday's report, about how the National Association of Realtors continually tells us that everything is fine all throughout 2007 going into 2008, how people should purchase homes while the entire real estate market was collapsing. The same thing could be said for the stock market. The same thing could be said for employment. They continually tell us that everything is fine. This is what a recovery looks like. But what are we saying? We are saying that things are not okay. And we see the first quarter GDP numbers have come in. Of course, they've been revised, massaged, manipulated. After printing at a negative 0.7, they revised them, and it came in around negative 0.2. Now, what's very interesting about all of this is that if you strip away Obamacare, and you strip away the harsh winter, and if you strip away the inventory restocking, the first quarter GDP is really negative 2%. The United States is not growing. Now, you have to remember, in 2014, the IMF, the Fed, the U.S. government predicted that 2015 was going to be an incredible year. We're going to see 2.5 to 3% GDP.
It's true.
Everything will be recovering. Housing is going to bounce back. Retail is going to bounce back. Unemployment is going to continually drop. Now, of course, that's the statistical numbers they can manipulate to make it look like this is what's happening. Unemployment continually dropping, which makes no sense because retail is contracting. Stores are closing. People are getting laid off. We see more and more corporations laying off people. Of course, the U.S. government will not report this because of budget constraints. They had to get rid of that department that created that layoff report, and they did this back in 2013. So we really don't get a good idea of what layoffs are like, except when we go to private companies and we see, yeah, there are a lot of layoffs. And we keep getting information from these huge corporations that they're laying off not 1,000, 2,000, but tens of thousands of people. And we can see when we look at this, this shows us that this economy with the debt cannot be sustained. And the second quarter GDP is not going to be any better. Now, of course, yes, can they pump the bubbles up? We've seen them do it before, because you have to remember, this economy is not a people economy. It's not driven by work and by people purchasing and people purchasing homes. It is created and built on the central bank bubble system. And every time things start to fall apart, all they do is manipulate the calculations and pump more free money, which allows investment companies, hedge funds to go out and purchase thousands upon thousands of houses, keep them off the market, rent it if they can. It allows the banks to go to the short-term window, pay no interest on the money, put it into the stock market, and then remove it from the stock market and repay what they took without any interest whatsoever or penalties or anything. We see the auto industry and the housing industry is now getting more and more people into the market because they're accepting subprime people. They don't care if they have credit. So interest rates are zero, or some places negative. They're accepting subprime people. They're giving free money to investment companies. They're channel stuffing the auto dealerships. And all of this is to keep this economy alive, even though it is contracting everywhere, in retail, in housing, in auto sales. We see bubbles forming everywhere: student loan, derivative, treasury bond, auto, housing, stock market, you name it. These are the bubbles. And when you're in a bubble economy, it completely comes crumbling down and it pops. We saw it back in 1929, 2001, 2008, and now we're seeing it again. This time it's worse though. We have a lot more people that don't have credit, a lot of people that lost their wealth, a lot of people who cannot find that same full-time job since the last crisis, who've just been living paycheck to paycheck. Home ownership is at its lowest.
I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead.
Since like 19.
Because he
There's no
basically...
difference. And people say, well, with a knife, you can't go around killing people. Well, yeah, you can.
So right now they're attacking our guns. Okay, we've got... All right. So, and also, we're helping out Greece, and only a certain amount of that money is going to Greece, while the rest of the money are getting like 30 trillion or $30 billion or something like that. Just pallets of money they're just basically taking, the international bankers. So if you want this one, I'm going to go ahead and add it towards the current project right here on my playlist, and then you can go ahead and listen to that for yourself. Moving on. Now, all everybody is really talking about lately is the flag, if you notice, okay? I mean, even Hillary Clinton's trying to sell it. You know, let's attack the flag. That's all we have for news.
America's long struggle with race is far from finished. We can't hide from hard truths about race and justice. We have to name them and own them and change them. That's why I appreciate the actions begun yesterday by the governor and other leaders of South Carolina to remove the Confederate battle flag from the State House, recognizing it as a symbol of our nation's racist past that has no place in our present or our future.
And if you've checked out the reality behind Jade Helm 15, you know that it really didn't have anything to do with race. It had to do with the Confederate states wanting to be their own separate country, and that was going to be their flag, okay? And what they were going to do, that was basically rebellion. It was a symbol of rebellion against the Union and against the international bankers of Europe, and them wanting to take their land and then make everybody, you know, a part of this slave system. It wasn't about having individual slaves of race. It was about having everybody that wasn't a part of this government or this elite establishment. Everybody is a slave. Being a citizen of the United States, of the incorporated America, you're a slave.
It shouldn't fly there. It shouldn't fly anywhere.
This is why they're attacking it. Don't you remember a little bit ago, they sat there and were attacking the American flag. All these black Americans were stepping on the flag and saying that should go. I actually kind of agreed. I was like, yeah, let's raise the old, you know, stars and bars. Wham! Oh, no. No. You know, it's funny. It's all because of some guy who walked into a church and shot a bunch of people. So we're not focusing on the kid here that walked into a church and shot up a bunch of people. No, we got to blame race. We got to blame the flag. We got to blame guns. We got to blame you. We got to blame everybody else but that one guy. Does this make sense to you? I mean, come on, wake up, America. All right, let's continue.
And I also commend Walmart for deciding to remove any product that
Of course they would. They're owned by China. That is China. You think they give a shit about America? Hell no. In our history, hell no.
uses it. Today, Amazon, eBay, and Sears have followed suit, and I urge all sellers to do the very same.
Horrible. I suggest everybody go out and buy one. Here we go. This is what everybody's talking about.
Controversy surrounding the display of the Confederate flag has national retailers reviewing their options. Walmart, eBay, Amazon, and Sears have all announced that items containing imagery of the flag and similarly themed merchandise will be removed from store shelves and websites. Thousands of items are listed on retailer sites, suggesting it could take time to remove all the goods in question.
So while that's going on, all right, let's remember what Eric Holder said we should do. He said I think, what, brainwash Americans?
We're going to develop an informational campaign to really change the hearts and minds of people in Washington, D.C., and in particular, our young people. And what we need to do is change the way in which people think about guns, especially young people, and make it something that's not cool, that it's not acceptable, it's not hip to carry a gun anymore. In the way in which we've changed our attitudes about cigarettes, we changed the way in which people thought about smoking, and so now we have people who cower outside, of buildings and kind of smoke in private and don't want to admit it. And that's what I think we need to do with guns. Really change the way in which people think about them. This is not going to be something that's very easy to do. We need to get really innovative, creative things that are going to grab the attention of these kids and change, as I said, the way in which they think about guns. And so what I've asked is that the creative community in Washington, those ad agencies that create these snappy ads and make me buy things that I don't really need, and make me buy things that I don't really need, and make me buy things that I don't really need, devote that talent in a more constructive way so we can get at the minds of these young people. I've also called on the newspapers and the television stations to devote to us time and space so that we can get these ads, so we can use these spots, and not to give us 1, 2 o'clock in the morning ads when nobody's watching, but at the time when people, particularly young people, are watching television, so that when they're watching, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Martin or whatever else they watch, so that they'll see these ads and they'll be grabbed by these ads. I've also asked people who have influence over youngsters, entertainers, athletes, to be involved in this program as well, but not only them, community leaders, Jesse Jackson, Mayor Barry, people who have credibility with young people should be on the television, on the radio, as much as we possibly can, and telling these youngsters that it's wrong to carry a gun, and that if you have information about people who are carrying guns, you've got to share that with Chief Thomas and with his people as well. I've also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message. One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive, and we need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
The sky was filled with a huge bats, all swooping and screeching and all swooping. Is everybody in? Is everybody in?
What you get over this too? Right now, there is a whole, an entire generation that never knew anything that didn't come out of this tube.
Serious drug collection. The tendency is to push it as far as
This tube is the gospel, the ultimate revelation. This tube can make or break presidents, popes, prime ministers. This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it all falls into the hands of the wrong people. And that's why woe is us that Edward George Reddy died. Because this company is now in the hands of CCA, the Communication Corporation of America. There's a new chairman of the board, a man called Frank Hackett. sitting in Mr. Ronnie's office on the 20th floor. And when the 12th largest company in the world controls the most awesome goddamn propaganda force in the whole godless world, who knows what shit will be taken the truth on this network?
Is everybody in?
No, listen to me. Listen to me. Television is not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling thrill, acrobats, nollyells, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business.
Is everybody in?
Don't you want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Don't you want the truth? Go to God. Go to your guru. Go to yourself. Because that's the only place you're ever going to find any real truth. Man, you're never going to get any truth from us. We'll tell you anything you want to hear. We lie like hell. We'll tell you that Kojak always gets the killer and nobody ever gets cancer in Archie Bunker's house. And no matter how much trouble the hero is in, don't worry, just look at your watch. At the end of the hour, he's going to win. We'll tell you any shit you want to hear. We deal in illusions, man. None of it is true.
And it's true. They deal in illusions, man, and none of it is true. Okay, so carrying on now, we know that basically Russia is starting to look at us a little differently. We're going into an Anglo-Saxon world order. If you know anything about that at all, I suggest you definitely research into that. That means that we are basically the arm of Europe, the military arm of Europe, and we're going to help construct the new world order. And we need everybody to be right on board. And if they're not, then they're obviously going to have to go. Okay? But let's go ahead and listen to what this man has to say, because he goes on to explaining that. Let's go ahead and see. I will go ahead and jump right in with the real news.
Homeland security, and their origins, their makeup. The East German Stasi leader, who was brought in to consult on the fusion centers. I'm going to share with you a little article here. DHS was created by Marcus Wolf, a former East German Stasi leader. Yes, folks, it's true. The U.S. government hired Marcus Wolf to develop and roll out the Department of Homeland Security. Ask yourself how you could let this happen, why you would submit to the Stasi, and why you don't hold your politicians accountable. For shame. Why would Homeland Security hire former Stasi chief Marcus Wolf and former head of the KGB General Yevgeny Primakov? Is this part of the Bush anti-terror strategy? Well, this article's from 2013, and Obama has had no problem continuing it. After all, Wolf is the man who is credited with the building up of the feared East German secret police that was responsible for the disappearance. Get that? Disappearance and deaths of thousands of citizens who did not agree with the paradigm. Kind of funny that Jade Helm is practicing the detainment of people. We've seen that, and we'll see more of it. Primakov's record is not any better. A skipper of the KGB was driving force behind the machinery of state terror, a legacy that still has a chilling effect on many Russians. Reminiscent of those days that they practiced these things. Here we see a video of the martial law detainment roundup drill in Florida, and you will soon see very clearly. Now, first of all, none of this should be happening above American soil anyway. I have a problem with it happening in foreign countries, but here we go. Here we see them lining them up, marching them out, just like the Stasi did many years ago, detaining citizens. This is unacceptable, people. And all of you apologists for government, all of you people out there who say that it's not a big deal, you're all being propagandized, and slowly a stability police force for the United States is being concocted. That's civilian law enforcement agency with the fusion of military and civilian law enforcement. Well, that's what they call law enforcement, civilian. It's not military, no. It's civilian law enforcement. They're fusing them together. It's what the fusion center.
It's true. Now let me show you this, okay? This is something that an article, well actually it's a flect.government sites default files, Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers, 2015, February 16th, September 30th, 2015, advanced training schedule site or by site. I'll put these on that website so you can check them out for yourself, but it basically says advanced forensic techniques in crime scene, you know, and then you got two. So you got 1 and 2. You got advanced interviewing for law enforcement investigators training program. You got advanced instruction for marksmanship, which is obviously being a real good sniper and an individual that can use a firearm really well. Active shooter threat instructor training program. You know, there's going to be an active shooter threat instructor training program and also an active shooter threat training program. So they're going to be training active shooters. For all we know, this could possibly potentially be as well as false flag training. There's going to be basic tactical medical, BOET operators, anti-terrorism training. Then you're going to have all-terrain vehicle training, covert electronic surveillance program, continuing legal education training, commercial vessel, firearms instructor, threshold training, economic crimes investigation. And these are all the things that they're training on at this facility right here. Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers. Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers serves as an interagency law enforcement training body for 91 United States government federal law enforcement agencies. The stated mission of FLECT is to train those who protect our homeland. It also provides training to state, local, campus, tribal, or tribal, and international law enforcement agencies throughout the Royal Policing Institute, the Office of State and Local Training. It provides tuition-free and low-cost state training to state, local, campus. So basically, if you start looking down, it's going to start intertwining federal law into regular law enforcement. So this is where the federal government, just like I had said prior in Jade Helm, the reality behind Jade Helm 15, this right here all coincides with it. I'm going to go ahead and post these for you, or anybody who finds this to be enlightening whatsoever. You can go ahead. Sorry, I have a little cold going on. Sinuses acting up. But you can go ahead and check these out for yourself. And this all coincides with these fusion centers that you're hearing about and federalizing the law enforcement agencies and to prepare for what appears to be a true civil war. And they want your guns. Trust me. They want your guns. It's not a joke. So, carrying on with these fusion centers, I'll let this man keep going. RTR Truth Media, good guy.
They're all about anyway. They take all of the different government agencies and put them under one roof so that they don't embarrass themselves so much by stepping on each other's toes. It's unconstitutional. There's no separation of powers. One agency is supposed to stand for itself, and when it finds another agency perhaps doing something wrong, it's supposed to do something about it. That was the reason why we had separate agencies after all. Otherwise, we wouldn't need separate agencies, right? They're destroying the constitutional sheriff, destroy them completely in Delaware, where Biden's son is from. All of our constitutional officers, one office and another, is either being incorporated and merged into the corporate federal government, where they're being disbanded. And the law says that in The military has the right to step in when local authorities either cannot perform their job or refuse to. That is the check. When a local sheriff says, no, you've gone too far, that's the check and balance. That's what our constitutional system, that's how it's supposed to work. If he refuses, you leave or you go to jail. It's that simple. They're turning the Constitution upon its head. They're tossing it in the trash can, and you people are letting it happen. Let's learn more about this Stasi involvement in the Department of Homeland Insecurity. Just on a quick note, my partner and I were just looking over, trying to find the articles about this, the videos rather, about this. And a lot of the videos, now, ex-Stasi spy chief, a lot of the videos are all gone. Now, you'll have Marcus Wolf, Stasi spy master, hero in the UK, and but none of the Department of Homeland Security information. They've all been scrubbed, which is something they're getting good at doing. This is the search that was Marcus Wolf Homeland Security videos. Now, I know Alex Jones did a number of pieces on this. You would think that they would float straight to the top. Where are they? Now, this gentleman here is going to basically tell you what I would have told you, but I'll allow him to because he does it so well. Dual citizens to the Stasi.
Hold on 1 second. I apologize. I need to correct this title. I've been live. I should still be broadcasting. I don't realize, I'm not really sure what is going on. And I just wanted to share this real quick, that's all, while we're in the middle of this. Okay.
So the other thing I have for you, the dual citizens in government. You know, I kind of relate to you audience viewers that people like Michael Chertoff, who heads up Homeland Security, he's a dual citizen. So you got to ask yourself, the guy you've got watching your homeland for security, okay, he's not even an American. Okay, he's a dual citizen. Does his loyalty lie with the United States of America or maybe the other country that he's a citizen of? And you say, is he alone? Well, it turns out he's not. We have Michael Mukasey, the Attorney General, dual citizen. How about that guy with the UN, Bolton? Should I tell you about Kissinger? You know, do you want to run all your dual citizens? How about Wolfowitz? Remember that guy? Yeah, defense guy. That's some interesting stuff going on with the dual citizens. And what I wanted to bring to you, what I thought was very interesting about dual citizens, how do you like this? Now,
How true that is.
There's a place called Homeland Security. And reminds me a lot of Germany with the Vaterland. You know, now we get the Homeland Security. And what I thought was interesting is we've actually hired a former KGB. Now, KGB, for you Sharon viewers who are in the audience, who came from Russia, please come on my show. Please let the Sharon and other Sharon viewers realize or understand what the KGB was involved in. And were they a good thing over there in Russia? So anyway, who do we have? We have General Yevgeny Primakov. Now you say this Primakov guy, why would we have
Soviet
a
secret
director of the
police.
KGB? So it's not the secret police. So we have Soviet secret police getting paid by Homeland Security $4 million of your dollars. So when you want to bail somebody out, that's $4 million you don't get to spend.
Might not be a good
What are
idea.
you doing with this? we're bringing a former KGB person in to make sure America's secure. Does that sound right to you? Would that be like hiring a Nazi? But it gets better. We also have, he's not alone, you know, the dual citizen thought. We also have Marcus Wolf. Have you ever heard of Marcus Wolf? Well, Marcus Wolf is an interesting guy because he's ex-East German Stasi. Now, if we have any, you know, people from Germany in the audience, maybe they'd like to come on the show and tell all the other viewers what the secret police in East Germany was like. And why this guy is important is because Wolf is the man that effectively built the East German, you know, intelligence operations internal directorate. And he's
Divide and conquer.
What did they do? Well, he turned half the population into informants on the other half of the population. Yeah. That's the kind of guy we want in Homeland Security. Foreigners who did what? Helped create police states. And, once again, do we have any East German, ex-East Germans in the audience who'd like to come on and tell people why secret police is not good? Why having secret police is not good? And following the ones from, once again, the East German Stasi, let alone the KGB? Do you want these KGB people, you know, determining what your children's future is going to be like? Yeah, think about their background. And also, once again, why all this was brought to us by the lies of 9/11. The things that didn't hold up scientifically, the things that didn't make sense. Oh, a guy in a cave could make NORAD, North American Red Area Defense, stand down. Yeah, that didn't make sense, did it? But anyway, you know, it's kind of interesting. We also have another KGB guy, you know, on board and stuff. Oleg Klaguin. He's retired KGB, so that's better than just, you know, current KGB, okay? But he also has a consulting job, a consulting gig. He's also getting your money. Yeah. So dual citizens in our country, and of all places, in what's now forming as the Spy on You group, right? Because Homeland Security, you may be Al-Qaeda. We have to keep an eye on you. Remember the wireless wiretapping? Yeah, I wonder who thought of that one, huh? Now, it's funny because at this point of the thing, at this point of the show, I was gonna throw out a thought, and that is, what do we stand for? And what do we want to stand for? You know, do we stand for secrets, you know, spying, secret prisons, torture, and all that? And if we allow people to sell us,
the reason why he's asking is because people are going to work every day not caring about this stuff. And right now, like, I'm checking it out, and I haven't even got a single viewer. You know, I must be doing something wrong. But the reality is that people are not paying attention to what's going on. You need to call up your representatives and let them know that you know that they sold you out. And really, I would start preparing. I think it's too late for that, though. Like, I don't know. If you're listening and you know what's going on at this point right now, I suggest everybody start stocking up some food, get your money out of the bank if you got a lot of money into it. Stock up on some guns. Go down to a few places like Lowe's or wherever you can find some solar panels and a few things to be able to charge your phones. And I would also buy a ham radio and some hammocks and fishing poles and some tents and stuff like that. And just get ready in case you guys have to flee out of your own pad, because you never know who might be coming and pounding on your door.
Thought that torturing people is good. I thought this was the country where you were innocent until you were proven guilty. But when it came to Guantanamo or any other place, you know, all of a sudden those rules changed. So they were guilty, and they had to prove their innocence from inside a cage. Yeah, who's been doing the thinking and running the show around here? Once again, we have dual citizens. How about Rahm Emanuel? That's right, for all you Obama lovers.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
I have to show you this. Obama has demanded the FBI use social media to spy on you. Yes, spy on you. Spy fusion centers that employ 850,000 people searching your social media sites. I've showed you this before, but I'll let you see it again.
Government agency to target social media. This is Behind the Headlines on Global Research TV. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation posted a request for information last month calling on IT companies to demonstrate their ability to design software for monitoring, mapping, and analyzing social media. Called for vendors to develop software which allowed up to 50 users to manage up to 500 online personas, which would be created with background, history, supporting details, and cyber presences that are technically, culturally, and geographically consistent.
Okay, so you've got that. Check this out, though. Dual citizenship. Remember that. Dual citizenship. That's what we're going to do. Okay? Right? Right, we're talking about dual citizens here. You know, now we've been infiltrated. Hold on a second. I'm looking for it. Sometimes they delete my stuff. Here it is right here. This is what you should see. Remember, everybody was looking for his birth certificate. And then they pulled it out by this girl named Loretta, whatever. She died in a plane crash, though. The only one. Everybody survived but her on the plane. She died. She was the only person that can confirm the authenticity of Obama's birth certificate. Here we are, 2015. He's destroyed and shredded it all. And everybody that voted for him stood up for him. Stood up for what? What do they stand up for? I'm sorry, but truth hurts sometimes.
Concerning that, though, there's a lot of emails going around that gets rather terrible. A Newsweek poll shows that 12% of America believes that you're a Muslim, and 26% believe you were raised in a Muslim home. A lot of misinformation. How do you fight that?
Well, you know, by getting on Larry King and telling everybody I'm a Christian and I wasn't raised in a Muslim home. And pledge allegiance to the flag and, you know, all the things that have been reported in these emails are completely untrue and have been debunked again and again and again. So, you know, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is. One last point I do want to make about these emails, though, and I think this has an impact on this New Yorker cover. You know, this is actually an insult against Muslim Americans, something that we don't spend a lot of time talking about, and sometimes I've been derelict in pointing that out. You know, derelict in a lot of things. Muslim Americans all across the country who are doing wonderful things, and for this to be used as sort of an insult or to raise suspicions about me, I think is unfortunate, and it's not what America is all about.
Maybe I'm not a American citizen. Some people said I'm as a forged birth certificate. Well, first of all, it's true I'm not American. I was not born in Hawaii. I wasn't born in the United States of America. I come from Kenya. And so I think people saw my election as proof, as testimony that our society has continued to become more.
Barack is led by example. When we took our trip to Africa and visited his home country in Kenya, we took a public HIV test for the very point of
Sorry about that.
One last point on this issue of the flag thing. As you noted, I wore one yesterday when a veteran handed it to me, who himself is disabled and works on behalf of disabled veterans. I have never said that I won't wear that pin on my chest. Instead, I'm going to try to tell the American people what I believe will make this country great. And hopefully that will be a testimony to my patriotism.
Here he is, Bounce. Check this out of your email.
As a boy, I spent several years in Indonesia and heard the call of the azan at the break of dawn, at the fall of dusk. We talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that that is not something that
Now, I will make a point here, okay? If anybody is Muslim and they're watching right now and they believe Allah is their God, you know, that's fine. I'm not being prejudiced against that. But Christians do not believe that Allah is God, okay? Just like you don't believe that Yahweh is your God. And you might find that offensive. But see, the difference between that is that Christians don't want to get violent. Most Christians, not Catholics now, not Christians that go to the Pope and bow down and call him God or worship the cross, all right, and go every Sunday, all right, man's written law Sabbath day, all right, man's Sabbath, okay, not God's Sabbath, man's Sabbath day, all right, and then listen to him once a week and paraphrase a few phrases out of the Bible and then keep you coming back based off fear, and then you give a couple of bucks away, and then I guess that's supposed to make you feel good as long as you're keeping the power going on in the place, and the guy can drive around in the nice Benz and afford a beautiful suit. That way he looks actually professional preaching to you. You're saved, I guess. But that's not the case, okay? Like people who actually follow the 10 Commandments, don't worship any other gods before them, worship the God of Spirit, actually don't follow any relics or images or anything like that, no engraven images, don't worship gold, nothing like that, follow all the 10 Commandments and believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. That is a true Christian. And then they give to the poor and the needy and other Christians. If you have more than enough, you're supposed to share. And then we're supposed to enlighten people and read the Bible together. This is exactly what it says. And if anybody slaps you in the face, you're supposed to offer up the other side. All right? You're supposed to love your enemy and pray for your enemies. All right? That's what my God instructed me to do. So when Jesus came out, he's the Word of God, and Jesus also is the Son of God. And when he died, he became the Spirit of truth, the Holy Spirit. So with God, the Bible, and the Holy Spirit is the Holy Trinity. All right, but I digress. I've read a little bit of the Quran. Actually, I've read a lot of it. But the point that I'm making is that anybody who's watching right now, if you are a Muslim, I mean no offense to you, okay? All this dinging and bringing up the there is no God to Allah, it's not trying to be a mockery to you guys. It's trying to point out to a supposed Christian nation that once was and always was a Christian nation, okay, that your leader is not Christian at all. You've been duped and lied to. And in fact, if you actually read the Bible and knew the truth, then you would know that. That's why they're getting away with it. And that's why he says America is not a Christian nation anymore, because they don't know God anymore. They really don't. And not a mass majority. They really don't. Every time you go to a church and you got your cross and your guy and nobody says anything and you got this one guy telling you how it is. All right, who's Enoch? All right. And not the son of Cain. I'm talking about the one of Jared. All right. And, you know, I'm just not going to get into it. All right. Let's just, I'm just going to go. There is no God except Jesus Christ. That's what a Christian would say. Just as a Muslim would say, there is no God except Allah. Okay? All right. If we're a Christian nation, then we believe Jesus Christ. But we have a leader that believes that Allah is there.
I have known Islam on 3 continents. Islam on 3 continents. Assalamu alaikum. Many other Americans have Muslims in their families or have lived in a Muslim majority country. I know because I am one of them. And my father came from a Kenyan family that includes generations of Muslims. As a boy, I spent several years in Indonesia and heard the call of the azan at the break of dawn. I have known Islam on 3 continents.
I think what people should really be paying attention to is, do you think that he would care if ISIS came in and started beheading you? How come there's ISIS cells all over the country, and yet the only people that are deemed domestic terrorists are sovereign citizens? And I guess people are part of what, Al-Qaeda or something, or I guess ISIS, but most of the people that are in ISIS, if you really do your research, they were at Guantanamo Bay and then groomed by the CIA and then released.
Before coming to the region where it was first revealed. That experience guides my conviction. You're absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith. As the Holy Quran tells us, the Holy Quran teaches that, the Holy Quran tells us, and the Holy Quran also says,
I think you get the point, okay? I'm not trying to put down Islam. I'm trying to make a point. Okay, here we go. And we'll keep going here. So, what we have now is Jade Helm coming into effect, okay? The dollar's collapsing. We've got ISIS all over the place. And they need an emergency to enact a state of martial law. Every drill that has ever happened before has always ended up in an actual real event. All right. And if you do your research, you will see that I'm absolutely correct. Okay. So, and there's never been anything like this on American soil. I don't care what any of these military people are telling you. They're lying. Okay. And I've heard a lot of things so far about, oh, I didn't just hear, actually. I'm sorry. There was a lot of accounts on YouTube that were leaking videos, okay, of the actual training going on. Some of them had to do with actual, like, chemical warfare. And what else was it? Obviously, the sovereignty thing. They were screaming, I'm, a sovereign citizen. They were doing civil unrest, roundup. But one of the things that got me was the chemical warfare, okay? And I suggest everybody definitely get a hazmat suit and, whatever you can. I mean, really, I've made my, peace in my areas, but I'm going to go ahead and just basically push in what I felt is coming for a long time and how it's actually coming and panning out. And I just want to show you some of the things that I've come across so you guys can have the same heads up as well. That's what we're doing here, okay? So here we go. Jade Helm 15 crisis actors briefing for plane crash in a chemical plant re-uploaded.
Your hours, and we're going to resolve any problems you might have. Okay. The exercise overview, basically, National Guard gets called out to help state authorities, search, rescue, and contamination, and medical stabilization. All right, there's going to be a building collapse and explosion, and it's all caused by a hurricane. The hurricane is going to cause they were talking about this morning, it was really weird. Microburst, the plane's going to crash into a chemical plant. So there'll be a lot of shit. All right.
So a hurricane is going to cause a plane to crash into a chemical plant. Let's go ahead and rewind that up again in case you didn't get all that. This is not a classified briefing. If they are of the truth, they have nothing to hide, right?
Overview, basically, National Guard gets called out to help state authorities, search, rescue, and decontamination, and medical stabilization. All right, there's going to be a building collapse and explosion, and it's all caused by a hurricane. The hurricane's going to cause they were talking about this morning, it was really weird, microburst. The plane's going to crash into a chemical plant. So there'll be a lot of damage. All right. So National Guard being called out to help people rescue others. Okay, your responsibilities. Okay, when you get to the exercise site tomorrow, the first thing you'll do is check in with Grace. Okay, so in other words, we're going to pick you up in the parking lot, and we'll give you that address, and we're going to drive you to the exercise site. There's no parking at the exercise site. There's not enough room for parking. So you can park at this park that we're going to tell you about, and then we'll take you to the exercise site. Grace will have her computer set up. You just check in with her, so we know you're there. Okay. Some people ask this question all the time. They're like, okay, so suppose that park.
No, I'm doing a live broadcast.
7:30, and you guys don't pick me up till 8.
Nobody. I'm doing it by myself. I'm doing a news update right now. And showing everybody exactly what I've been coming across and trying to give a heads up on everybody else. So you can go. Well, I've showed a lot so far. But right now I'm showing them actually Jade, Helm crisis active briefing for a plane crash in a chemical plant. And this guy's actually saying it's going to be a hurricane microburst. You know, and obviously we know about, you know, HARP and controlling the weather and, you know, potentially what's going on. But these are crisis actors that are going to these things for Jade Helm briefing. And you even have the little arrowhead right on the wall and everything. But, all right, well, I haven't got to the state of emergency, what I believe is going to happen yet, and what we have got to. So, you know, if you want to listen in, go ahead. It's on the SSN page right now. Yep. All right, brother. Peace.
I start getting paid now, okay? If I tell you guys to show up at 7:30 and you come at 7:30, no matter when you check your Grace, you'll know it's 7:30. Okay, that'll start your clock. Okay. So please be on time. I need to check out everybody. Great. Now, wearable clothing. Let's talk about the clothing issue. So what happens is there's a rubble pile, and that is the site of the incident. Okay, there's a rubble pile there. It's rather small down here in Cook Valley. You guys all know where Cook Valley water treatment plant is? Okay. That's where we're going to do the exercise. All you have to do is drive to that park and we'll pick you up. Okay. Anyway, there's a small road pile down there, and that road pile represents the collapsed building. Okay. So once the building collapses, then there's a lot of gases released, and there are chemicals involved, and you guys have to be decontaminated before they can send you to the hospital. Right? We'll talk a lot about decontamination here. So once they rescue you from the rubble pile, they're going to decontaminate you, which means they're going to give you a shower, okay? And then they're going to put you in medical. Okay? And medical is actual doctors and nurses. They're the Air National Guard, Air Force people. And what their mission there is to stabilize you. Stabilize you so that you'll make it to the trip to the hospital. Okay? That's what they do. They're not going to really treat you per se, but they'll put bandages on you, and they can simulate giving you drugs that will help you when the ambulance picks you up, so that when you get to the hospital, you'll be alive. All right, that's what they're doing. So let's talk about that. When you are going through decontamination, they're going to cut your clothes off because your clothes are contaminated. All right, and then they're going to give you a shower. It's only water, there's no chemicals involved, and then you'll go through medical. So, in order to go through decontamination, you're going to have appropriate undergarments on, right? So for men, that means like running shorts or basketball shorts or something like that. For women, it means that the bathing suit will work, tank tops, sports bra kind of thing. with shorts, okay, that kind of thing, right? So, we'll get into it more a little bit later, but I'm just trying to give you an overview of how it's going to go. All right, so we're asking you to wear old clothes that can be cut off. We have clothes for you to wear. And if you have like clothes that you're going to give to Goodwill anyway, or something you're going to throw away, or clothes that you're really tired of and don't want them anymore, you want to bring those to the exercise, and then you can bring those, and then you'll be getting your own clothes cut off instead of clothes that we have. Okay? But we have enough clothes to make it through tomorrow for sure. Okay, wear foot gear, you don't mind getting wet. Okay, wear appropriate undergarments, we talked about that, remove jewelry, and body piercings. All right, does anybody here have a navel ring? A belly ring? No? So if you're non-ambulatory and you're laying on a gurney and they're cutting your clothes off and you have a navel ring in, then we might have a natural injury. Okay, so that's really, I kind of focus on that a little bit. So, okay, no cell phones or cameras, bring a valid ID. When you go through our moulage process, you'll get 2 badges, okay, and that's how I can tell as I'm walking around who's been taken care of already, who has not. All right. Oh, yeah. There's 2 badges you get. One will identify you as a role player, so they won't think you're just a civilian walking around the battlefield. Okay, they'll know who you are, and then they'll have your vital instructions and everything on there. And the other one's just like a badge you get at a conference.
So these guys, while something's going down, they're going to be able to have a specific credentials that'll allow them basically to slip through the cracks, and you know, possibly be on CNN News or anything like that. These are the crisis actors.
ID card in here. If you have glasses, you might go slide them in here for when you go through.
So there's probably going to be a staged event dealing with chemicals, okay? As climate, remember, we have 500 days till climate chaos. He's talking about these microbursts. And I think this, well, we'll get to that, but there's going to be something else I want to show you.
So when I see people with 2 badges around their neck, I know they're ready to go. Okay. Don't bring valuable items to exercise and remain patient and cooperative. All right. Let's talk about that a little bit. Back in the day, when we first started doing this as a company, we really insisted no cell phones in the area. Okay.
Of course.
Not because there's a high, you know, top secret, you can't take a picture.
Bullshit.
Because you might lose your cell phone, right? So we were doing this, and you know, after 3 hours, and one kid was shaking. You know, he looked like he was really going into a problem. And I'm like, what's the matter? So, and so I understand the connection with people and their cell phones these days. So if you want to bring your cell phones at your own risk, I would say bring a backpack. Okay, we have chairs, so we chairs out. Everybody can have their own chair. And if you, when you go to Econ, you can leave your backpack on your chair. You know, probably no be a problem. Okay? But really, like weight bands and valuable jewelry, you should try not for it. Okay? All right. So, I think I covered that. Anybody have any questions on this slide? Yes.
So, you clarified about this originally.
Yes, yes. Okay. You can do a number of ways. Okay, if you bring clothes, all right.
I have no clue what she said.
A lot of times we work on military installation, we do parking, we're part of that parking lot, and you're going to
check that out, the current project. I'm going to keep going and just keep going. Okay. Here's some more information. So we watched that NATO was going global and that NATO troops are everywhere. And so I came across this yesterday. Jade Helm 15 splinters global colliding with Commissioner Care.
It's going down, folks. The final battle of Saber Strike 15. You're watching it right now. Multinational forces colliding on the battlefield. A show of force on public display.
And what's crazy is everybody's talking about this guy shooting right in the flags. This is all going down like a day ago. This is like yesterday, okay? So think about it. This all, the TPA, the fast track, partnership trade, all right, all leading to the TPP, the TPA, the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade, and the Trans-Pacific Atlantic, it's all being done under the ruse of everything, okay? Nobody's paying attention to what's going on. Once I believe the TPP got passed last night. They were having an argument about it, but from what I was gathering, it definitely got passed, and this is UN. We've got UN troops already getting ready to go along with this gun grab, okay? Because now that they got the Charleston shootings, they're basically leaning right towards the gun grab. Don't forget about Fukushima, and I want to lean towards the fact that they need a real emergency for this stuff to happen, a real emergency for all these military personnel to start enacting against every single citizen, all right? And they institute a martial law and let the United Nations completely take over in all sovereign territories.
Unlike anything we've seen since World War II. Did you see this on the news? Exactly. I'll break it down for you in just a second, as I've got a ton of news to report. But first, I want to welcome the thousands of new subscribers to the channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now, on to the news. As you know, I've been tracking recent troop movements and rhetoric spewing from global leaders for weeks now. With so much action this week, I decided it was best to consolidate the madness into this one report that you need to watch to the end to grasp the full scope of what is happening globally right now. First, Jade Helm 15. From my assessment, it appears that Jade Helm has unofficially gone live early, splintered into multiple exercises, and gone global. But that's not the half of it. Officially, it begins in July. On the same weekend, the elite meet safely in Bohemian Grove. And get this, the start date actually coincides with the cremation of care ritual. Now, some people I've spoken to speculate that it actually represents the physical manifestation of the cremation of America. While that may be a stretch, other theories range from martial law takeover to training for an Iranian invasion. But given the extreme intensification of military exercises worldwide in coordination with NATO, the preparation could most likely be targeted at Russia and China. Now let's take a look at what's transpired over the past few days. This week, 4 international pre-Jade Helm splinter drills kicked off. Operation Noble Jump, Operation Saber Strike, Operation Ball Top, and Operation Eagle Talon. Ball Top 2015 is a major naval exercise involving 5,600 air, naval, and ground forces. It's taking place in Poland, Sweden, Germany, and throughout the Baltic Sea.
Ball Tops is all about alliance unity, alliance solidarity, alliance security, and security of the Baltic region. So the alliances come together with 14 alliance members and 3 alliance partners, and a special relationship here with a huge flotilla of forces at sea to conduct a full spectrum of operations from air defense, mine countermeasures, anti-submarine warfare operations, and amphibious landings. And I think that shows a very strong message of resolve.
Now, the exercise is designed to solidify interoperability and display the power of allied and partner forces to defend the Baltic region. A total of 49 ships, 61 aircraft, including B-52.
But see, there's a lot of ruse with everything going on with, hold on.
Bombers, 1 submarine, and a combined landing force of 700 Swedish, Finnish, UK, and US troops are participating from 17 NATO nations and partner nations. Operation Saber Strike includes 6,000 troops from 13 countries and features the integration of U.S. close air support with partner nation ground forces and a demonstration of U.S. air deployment of forces and equipment. All activities in Saber Strike are featuring joint multinational training among the participating nations. The video at the very beginning of this report was from the Saber Strike final battle. Now here's the big one. Operation Noble Jump, also taking place in Poland, is the exercise training of over 2,100 personnel from 11 allied nations for the new Spearhead High Readiness Force. This is a new force created by NATO that includes 5,000 land troops. In one drill, Czech and Dutch soldiers practice on the mortar range.
I am Second Lieutenant Roman Kamensky. I am from the 43rd Paratrooper Battalion from the Czech Republic. Today we have been on the firing range in the Poland.
Well, I'm getting wind that people can't connect to this. Please stand by.